We have Pope Leo XIV. Yesterday morning I was sitting here at my desk. The Bible priest was busy translating one of his books from English into Spanish, and I got a phone call from my very good friend Abbot Tryphon in Washington State, and he said, "They've elected a pope. Check it out and call me back." So I set aside my translation project and tuned in to one of my YouTube channels that I had preset with live feed from the Vatican, and sure enough, there was white smoke coming out of the chimney. I kept working at the translation because I knew it would take some time, at least an hour, for the announcement to be made. In due course, the Cardinal Protodeacon Dominique Mamberti from France came out on the balcony with the formal proclamation. "I announce to you a great joy. We have a pope," which was no surprise to the crowd because his mere appearance on the balcony indicated that we have a pope, but there was excited applause anyway. We have a pope, the most eminent and most reverend Lord Robert Francis of the Holy Roman Church, the Cardinal Prevost. At this point, a jing goes in through my brain. That's an American. That's an American. That's an American who has given himself the name Leo XIV. And zing, 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 it went through my head. He hadn't even been on the master list of the top 10. And in only 4 ballots, he is Pope Leo XIV. Oh my God. And I had to call Abbot Tryphon back and tell him, "We have an American Pope. We have an American Pope," which was a mantra repeated by commentators over and over and over on all the channels. By now, the entire St. Peter's Square was filled with people. That's 250,000. It's going to include all of the students at the North American College who are now out of their minds with the reality that has sunk in. And the crowd goes all the way down the Via della Conciliazione to the Tiber River, which would account for at least 500,000 additional people who've run in from all over this part of the city. And they wait patiently until, after another hour, the new American Pope comes out on the balcony to give his first blessing to the people. At first, I couldn't figure out for the life of me what got into the cardinals to want to pick an American pope. Because, America is a big country and a rich country, and people are jealous of rich people and big people, and so it wasn't likely they were going to think of an American pope, and they hadn't ever done so before. So what was it that overtook the entire College of Cardinals to grant the authority of the keys of St. Peter to an American priest? And the answer did not come to me immediately. And everybody said, well, he knows himself mainly as a missionary to Peru. That was the clincher on the thinking of the cardinals. In the year 1962, when Robert Francis, last name Prevost of Chicago, was ordained a priest, in that same year, Pope John the 23rd asked all the religious orders and as many dioceses of the United States as possible to tithe their priests, to send 10% of their priests to do mission work in Latin America. At that time, the priest shortage was very severe in Latin America, and there was a big surplus in the United States. So Pope John said, North Americans, send 10% of your priests to serve in South America. I know some of these priests who went to answer that call. My friend Father Martin Fisher was in Bogota, Colombia, with the daughter monastery that was founded by Assumption Abbey in North Dakota. I myself stayed at the Foundation Monastery of Mount Angel in Cuernavaca, Mexico, to learn my Spanish some 53 years ago. I knew that the Archdiocese of Portland in Oregon had had a mission in Peru. What I have not known is that the Augustinians of the Midwest took up the call by sending a team to Peru. Now, in Peru, there had been a long presence of the Augustinian order. They first arrived in the 1550s, and they're part of the heritage of the Peruvian church. So it was a natural place for Midwestern Augustinians to go, and a natural place to send a newly ordained priest like the young Father Prevost. And so he was able to spend a number of years there, eventually becoming the head of the congregation of religious in his location, and also to teach canon law in the seminary, which means he had to be able to teach in Spanish, didn't he? Because he was teaching Peruvians about canon law. He did so well that he was brought back to North America and became the head of Augustinians in the Midwest, and did so well there that he was brought to Rome, where he became the head of all Augustinians in the entire world for 12 years, and then was sent back to Peru to be a bishop, and then called by Pope Francis to Rome to be in charge of the congregation that selects bishops throughout the world. There is a pattern behind and a context to his papacy. He was a missionary priest because Pope John the 23rd asked for missionary priests to go from the United States to Latin America. And they fanned out over all the countries of Latin America. And they didn't come to convert the people who were already Catholic. They came to assist them by filling in what their local clergy were not populous enough to do. And they founded hospitals, schools, universities, monasteries, dioceses, parishes, all over Latin America. Selfless Americans, young American priests, went to Latin America 60 years ago and poured out their mission spirit into the life of the Latin American church. Our new Pope was part of a movement of North Americans helping Latin Americans. And North America was not just helping in Latin America as the Pope requested, but there were American missionaries in all over the world. And American lay people raised money for these missions, and these priests and sisters and brothers and lay people from North America went to Latin America, from North America went to Latin America, but also to Africa, Asia, all over the world. They were ambassadors for Christ to Christians, but they were also goodwill ambassadors for the United States of America. And there are good feelings toward the American Catholic Church because we have been so generous to the other churches in the second and third world. In fact, the Vatican, much of the Vatican's budget has been funded by the Knights of Columbus in the United States of America. So we have helped the hierarchical church, but we have also helped with the Church of the Humble. And that is why a unanimous vote of the cardinals at the end of yesterday's conclave selected a North American priest and bishop and cardinal to be our next pope, because they love us, because they know our past generosity, and they have not forgotten. Look at the faces of these cardinals. Have you ever seen 133 old fellows like that so happy? It's like they love this new pope like a son. Yes, he's young enough to be their son, maybe in some cases of their grandson, and they just love him. Why? Because they know that they see in him every American missionary priest that has ever come to any of their countries, and they know the competence and efficiency of Americans, how good they are at organizing things, and they are hoping for this American to save the Vatican by getting it organized, by ending institutional drift. They know that Americans, and probably Americans alone, can do this for them. They need to be saved by America once again. So they're also proud like a new parent, because this is their child that they created by their unanimous vote. What have they brought? They have brought us, yes, the second Latin American pope, because he is a naturalized citizen of Peru as well as a birth citizen of the United States of America. They have created the first North American pope, the first pope from the United States of America. They have created the first pope ever to have been produced by the 800-year-old Augustinian order, one of the finest and most outstanding of the religious orders in the church. It is as important for the Augustinians to have a first pope in Leo as it was for Jesuits to have a first pope in Francis. They have produced an Italian pope because his paternal grandmother was Italian. They have produced the first African American pope. Yes, his mother's mother was a black Creole from New Orleans, and his mother's father was born in the country of Haiti. Here is the heraldry of the new pope, a fleur-de-lis on the upper left to represent his French heritage on both sides of his family, and the Sacred Heart hovering over the rule of St. Augustine in tribute to his Augustinian identity. And below, his motto, in illo uno unum. In that one, we are one. In which one? In Christ. In Christ, we are one. The full sentence comes from the homily of St. Augustine on Psalm 127, according to the Greek numbering, 128, according to the Hebrew numbering more commonly in use today. And the full sentence says, "It is not that Christ is one and we are many, but rather it is that in that one we become one." I see an echo of Leo's American identity in his very Episcopal motto. As an American, e pluribus unum, out of many one. In his motto as bishop and pope, in illo uno, in that one who is Christ, we who are many become unum, one. Unum unum, unity, unity, national unity, cosmic unity, combined in the person of the American Pope Leo XIV. It just makes me want to sing the traditional prayer for the pontiff of the Holy Roman Church. Oremus pro pontifice nostro Leone, Dominus conservet eum, et vivificet eum, et beatum faciat eum in terra, et non tradit eum in animam inimicorum